Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Former President John Dramani Mahama wants government to deploy soldiers from the 48 Engineers Regiment to construct emergency roads in the disaster-affected areas in the Upper West region. The region had torrential rains a couple of weeks ago, which cut off 8 of the 11 municipalities and districts in the region. Speaking at Goriri after touring some of the affected roads and donating some relief items to some of the victims, Mr. Mahama noted that the situation is dire and urgent steps need to be taken to ameliorate the suffering of the people. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Former President John Dramani Mahama, during a courtesy call on the overload of the water transitional area, now for the report of record calls made by the minority members from the region urging the president to deploy the 48th Engineers Regiment to open up the roads.
That people are suffering, their items and properties have been destroyed, and the roads have been cut off. There's a backlog of trucks that were heading to Burkina Faso and other places that are all stranded along the road. I don't know if the president is receiving the proper security reports, but it is a very, very serious situation. And I think the president should take action and get his people, if we can get the military, the 48th Engineers Regiment, to come in with some emergency action to open up the roads quickly so that the transport of goods and passengers can continue to flow. Otherwise, it's creating a very serious situation in this corridor.
He later visited some of the affected roads in the region to acquaint himself with the situation before donating some relief items to some of the affected persons.
And the road is completely cut off. And so people can go, people can come. There are communities that are stranded downstream that can also not reach Nadoli. And so when pregnant women, people who are ill, have to reach the Nadoli hospital. You've seen the small wooden bridge they put there. That's where they have to pass them and bring them down, and then they'll join another vehicle waiting here to take them there. People have lost properties, and people are homeless. And so we're calling on NADMO, and I'm sure by now NADMO is getting itself together. I encourage the government to give them the resources.
Rolling back to town, John Dramani Mahama met members of the Upper West Region's Local Council of Churches, where their chairman, Apostle George Apasara, gave this assurance.
You may not see us, ministers of the gospel, and most of our congregations in Fix the Country campaign or Fixing the Country campaign. But may I assure you, Your Excellency, and the ruling government, that we are monitoring things on the ground. You may not hear our silence, but come December 2024, we want to assure you all that we speak the language that politicians understand.
The former president concluded the tour, meeting the press and also addressing a large gathering of party supporters at the Botanical Institute. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
The family of late Ibrahim Kakus is asking the National Chief Imam to assist in the release of Kakus' brother, who has remained in police custody for 2 months. The family has described the arrest as unlawful, arguing he had no hand in the murder of the late social media activist. The family spokesperson says the absence of the brother has had a toll on the family because he is expected to take care of the bereaved family. Kwesi Parker-Wilson, my colleague, has been following events as the family met the National Chief Imam. He joins us on phone with details. Parker, thank you for joining us on this beat. Now, what exactly can you report now that you've joined us via Zoom? What can you report on the back of this interaction between Kakus' family and the National Chief Imam?
Ben, essentially, the family of the late Kakus ran to seek some kind of solace and closure from the office of the Chief Imam, particularly the Chief Imam. Now, this is because, according to the family, how the police has handled the investigation has brought them more pain than what they were expecting. That is justice. Because even though the brother of the late Kakus, that is Idi Mohammed, was not involved in the murder of Paga, yet the police picked him up. And in the last 2 months, he's been in the custody of the police. Again, throughout the process of the investigation, the police hasn't been able to engage the family, something they find very worrying. And so they have run to the office of the Chief Imam to use his high office to intervene, ensure that justice is served, and also to release the brother who has been kept in police custody, where the family believes that it's unlawful. So this is the main reason the family ran to the Chief Imam today to get some closure. And they were in the company of their lawyer. We are told that the Fix the Country campaigner, Paga, now provides legal advice to the family of the late Kakus. Now, for him, the idea of running to the Chief Imam essentially is because the court system as we have it does not heal people. It's not designed to heal individuals who go through a lot of disturbances and torture. And so with the office of the Chief Imam, at least there will be some closure where people who are hit or were hit in the process get some closure and some healing. And they trust the Chief Imam that indeed when he wades into the ongoing conversation, they'll bring finality to the matter. And that is why this afternoon, they've run to him, asking him to intervene, because they believe that when he does that, a closure or finality will be brought to the matter.
Right. And what exactly was the response of the Chief Imam when this was tabled before him?
Well, so then the Chief Imam himself actually also expressed concerns and worry over the delay of the investigation process. For him, since the incident happened, they've heard nothing about the status of the investigation. And so now that the family of Kakus have officially petitioned him and run to him, he is going to quickly tax his advisory board to follow the matter and ensure that indeed justice is served, and that the brother of the late Kakus, that is Idi Mohammed, is one way or the other gets the needed assistance the family members are requesting for. So he gave them the assurance and gave them his word that he will get his people to follow up and get to the bottom of this matter.
Well, Parker, thank you very much for joining us. That is my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, who joined us live from the residence of the Chief Imam. On to our next story now. And a convener of the Fix the Country campaigners, Oliver Baka-Vomawo, has been explaining reasons for gathering 1 million signatures to push for Ghana's 1992 constitution to be rewritten. In an interview with Israel Laye on the AM show, Mr. Baka-Vomawo said the 1992 constitution has outlived its relevance, hence the need to write a new constitution to serve the current needs of the country. Let's listen to him.
You know, one of the reasons why we have talked about a new constitution for a new generation and not going back to those language of a review or piecemeal amendments is because we have a certain historical understanding of why the process has failed in the past. And one of the reasons why it has been very difficult for people to understand why that shift to a new constitution is important is precisely the reason why we are not getting any movement. And in taking on the burden of saying a new constitution, we also want to engage and educate Ghanaians about what it means in practice. Because politicians have created a fear factor around the word new, or a renewal, a rebirth of what Ghana means to people. And we want to do that. And I'll take briefly some time to explain this to you. And when the Constitution Review Commission finished and produced over 1,000-page report, there were more than 360 significant constitutional changes that needed to be made. In those changes, there was a real confusion as to whether or not, when you look at the current constitution, we needed one amendment bill to address all of the issues, or that we needed several bills. The Constitution Review Commission decided that all entrenched provisions under the Constitution can take one bill, and all non-entrenched provisions will take one bill. Unfortunately, what happened was that the current government put together a committee chaired by the Attorney General, who decided that for all those substantive changes that the Constitution needed, every change needed one bill on its own. Meaning that we are potentially getting into a referendum where Ghanaians will be standing and voting on 1,000 amendments on each of the issues.
Okay.
It is impractical. And it was one of the reasons why, it was one of the tools they used to stall the entire process. Now, if we understand that reviewing the Constitution can engage almost 1,000 rewrites of articles in the Constitution, then we already understand that it is impractical to do that to the current document. We must enter a framework which allows us to be able to make those changes holistically and together, so that the Constitution that we create have a basic, a new philosophy of how it engages the people of Ghana. If we want to do patchwork, we'll end up creating much more problems than we currently have.
All right, but
the other suggestion is that let's not even do a review. The president has even said that. Let's just take one issue. And his only issue that interests him is extending partisanship to the district level. And when Ghanaians rejected that, they decided that, well, if you do not want it the government's way, you are not giving you anything at all. We do not want politicians to hijack the process. And the biggest risk of hijacking comes in the review conversation. But if we do a new constitution, where we take it from the consultative or constituent assembly right to referendum, Ghanaians have the most say in the document. That is why we've taken on this charge and burden to educate and also collect those 1 million signatures to show support for the process.
all right, so you talk about fix the country movement, but here's the case where you're talking about a new constitution altogether. To me, it sounds more like reset the country rather than fix the country, because indeed, if you look at fixing in the context or the definition of it, it suggests that you're trying to do more patchwork than overhauling the system. So fix the country, resets the country. Yeah. What exactly are you looking at?
So a reset must have a purpose, right? The remedy for any problem, you have to sit down with the problem a bit more before you prescribe what remedy it needs. In this case, to be able to fix Ghana, we need a certain reset in certain dimensions. The people do not leave. But the underlying document that founds the country needs to change for that fixing process and healing process to happen.
Now, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is taking steps to ban the assembly and use of shangfan boats on water bodies for dredging, declaring the equipment illegal as part of government's drive to halt the dredging of water bodies for gold. The move will allow the task force against illegal mining to arrest producers of the equipment and destroy production workshops. Nanaya Aljuma digs into the operation of dredgers and the importance of the shangfan boats in their operations.
That's the sound of the shangfan, hence its famous name, Tutututu. The mountain of the dredging equipment, known as shangfan, has become common as gold miners desperately search for gold ore in river bodies. The equipment mainly consists of motor-powered barrel-like apparatus held together with a steel. Wooden boards cover the platform, powered by shangfan engines. On top of the boat-like machine are compartments which aid the washing of sand deployed by alluvial miners in their operations. Their activity contributes largely to destruction of water bodies. Here are some affected residents along the Ofen River. Those mining in the river have destroyed it. It is now unusable. Various efforts to rid river bodies of destruction by dredgers have resulted in destruction of thousands, but a lot more continue to float on rivers. The building of a boat with 2 Shamfine engines cost at least 15,000 cedis. It is estimated the cost for acquisition can be recovered in less than a week when business is good. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mekuduka, says fight against illegal mining will be extended to production of the boats.
We're going to go off that and come home and make sure if you are assembling or manufacturing a Shamfine machine, you are apprehended. Let me also say that this also doesn't give room for people to go out there to extort.
As part of efforts to deal with the dredgers, the government intends to deploy river guards to complement works of security agencies in halting bad mining practices. The ministry has already inaugurated the task force of the Small Scale Mining Association to support the fight against illegal mining, especially on rivers. Mr. Duka explains how all named forces will coexist with standing force of Operation Halt.
This is a rapid response unit. You know, we have the Operation Halt 2 that is also, going around, arresting people, making sure they sanitize the sector. This is to also augment the strength that Operation Halt 2 has and also be supporting them in all the endeavors. So this is a unit that has been set by the ministry itself. It kind of to attend to distress calls, especially those in the river bodies and the forest reserves.
For Joy News, Nana Yauchima, Kumasi.
And from there, we move over to Techiman, where the Nananum of the Techiman Traditional Council have appealed to the Acting Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampari, to help curb the increasing spate of crime in the Techiman municipality. Adonting Hene of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Uzuenchi Bwesiako, made this call when the acting IGP paid a courtesy call on them as part of his 2-day working visit to the Bono East region. Anna Sabit has more in this report.
The Acting Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampari, has paid a working visit to the Bono East Enclave to ascertain the security situation of the region. The visit, according to the Director of Public Affairs, Superintendent Alexander Kweku Obin, forms part of measures taken by the new IGP to have first-hand information about security in the area.
The team is embarking on the Bono East regional working visit. After the working visit, I think we will have time to engage the media before we proceed to Accra. So, and as part, he paid a courtesy call on the Osiadeyo Nanamia Kumfi the fourth, Techiman Hene, and conferred with the chief and his people. So we are proceeding to all the strategic locations within the jurisdiction. So after tomorrow, we will engage the media.
The IGP first had a closed-door meeting with the Nananum of the Techiman Traditional Council before paying a courtesy call on the Bono East Regional Minister, Mr. Kwesi Edujan. Alontin Hene of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Owusu and Chibosia, described the visit as historical and asked that the visit would go a long way to help improve the security of the region.
This visit is a historical visit. We have not had any acting IGP visiting us before. This is the first time. We had substantive ones. And looking at the way he has decided to approach the issue on his appointment, the way he's visiting and touring across the country, tells you that when he's given the full position, he'll work massively. And it has been a very nice encounter. We have discussed issues with him concerning crime issues and at the same time security issues. And he also gave us his word and appreciated the effort and whatever we have done over the years to support the cause of security and the police administration in Techman municipality. So it's not bad at all. It's a wonderful visit and we appreciate it as a kingdom.
He further noted that traditional authorities are calling for measures capable of helping address organized crimes across the municipality.
Techman is almost a metropolitan, and you see, like we've said earlier, we have seen numerously that the crime rate is high, the population is growing, and once it's growing, you have this kind of spillover. So the spillover, which comes from other districts or regions, in terms of organized crime, that is where our focus is, and we want IGP to look at that stretch and try to help us.
The IGP would also visit the eastern part of the region where a special anti-robbery squad has been deployed to help clamp down on the increasing activities of armed robbers in the area. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
The former Member of Parliament for Chiana Paga, Abuga Pele, says he believes the truth about his incarceration will come out one day. Speaking publicly for the first time since his release from prison following the presidential pardon granted him, Abuga Pele said he made a good impact on the lives of prisoners at the Insawan prisons. He was addressing a crowd at his hometown of Paga, Nakolo, where he received a rousing welcome back home last Saturday. Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Torrey has more.
Former National Democratic Congress MP for the Chiana Paga constituency, Abuga Pele, was sentenced to a 6-year imprisonment by an Accra High Court in 2018 for causing financial loss to the state while he was the national coordinator of the defunct Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency, GIDA. He was said to have acted in a manner that resulted in the loss of 4.1 million Ghana cedis by the government after businessman Philip Akpena Asebit had made false claims that he had secured a $65 million World Bank funding for the creation of 1 million jobs for the youth. Abuga Pele was found guilty on 2 counts of abatement of fraud and 5 counts of willfully causing financial loss to the state. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison for abatement of fraud and 4 years for willfully causing financial loss to the state, both to be served concurrently. Due to ill health, Abuga Pele was released earlier in July this year after being granted presidential pardon by President Nana Akufu. On Saturday, August 21, he returned to his home constituency of Chiana Paga in the Kasana-Nankana West district of the Upper East region. Youth of the constituency poured onto the streets, riding motorcycles amidst jubilation to welcome their former MP back home. Abuga Pele addressed the constituents at Paga before being ushered to his hometown of Nakolo. There, he addressed the chief and people, giving them a brief account of his life in prison.
I was not incarcerated. I was not put in prison. You're only put in prison if your mind accepts it, if your mind allows it. I was taken there to learn. The people in prison are my younger brothers, my sisters, and my fathers. Some of them needed help. Maybe God sent me there to help them. Thank you. I became the headmaster of the school that produced graduates. They do distance course from Cape Coast. I was a coach for the football team, the young football team. The number of prison inmates who attended school grew from almost 153 to almost 300 when I was there. I thank God I was able to contribute a small aspect of love to those unfortunate souls there. There will be a day when the media might give me another opportunity to talk about that.
He, however, would not speak on the events that led to his incarceration because he believed that one day the truth will come to light.
But thank God for my release. I thank the president. I thank the people of Nakolo. I thank all those who were instrumental in getting me out of prison. There is another day that may come to enable me explain a lot of things and say a lot of things. For now, if I've not said anything concerning my incarceration or what led to it or what the outcome has been, it is because the truth, as has been said often, will surely come out one day.
Abuga Pele's family said his imprisonment created a time of turbulence for them, but they were now happy and grateful to President Nana Akufo-Addo for granting him pardon. Michael Grantra spoke on behalf of Abuga Pele's family.
When our father, brother, uncle, husband, and friend, Honorable Abuga Pele, was sentenced to prison, our hearts broke. We shed tears and wished the news was a scam. Today, our depleting hope is restored, and we have every reason to be happy and jubilate. We want to use this platform to extend our sincerest and heartfelt gratitude to the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, for the presidential pardon granted our dear father.
Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sorry, Paga, Nakolo, Upper East Region.
We segue now into the business segment, which comes your way right after the break. Stay.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The head of finance at Valley View University, Dr. Williams Pepra, has attributed the high cost of credit to what he describes as overburdening taxes resulting from the recent banking sector cleanup. There's pressure on the Bank of Ghana to compel banks to reduce the cost of credit. President Akufo-Addo is the latest to add his voice, and he said that when he saw in the reconstituted board of the central bank. However, speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Pepra said the banks are not entirely to blame.
And we shouldn't forget that banks are in business to make money. And the only way they can make the money is to maintain a margin that will sustain them. So roughly, my checks in the industry shows that most banks, if it's a risk-free transaction, they will do a spread margin of about 4%. If they consider a riskier investment, most banks are currently doing 8 to 9%, and some at the extreme end of 12%, where they do 22%. So this is what is currently happening to reduce risks. The most risks that banks were facing in the past was how to identify their clients, where they stay, so that they'll be able to collect their money. With the coming in of this address system in the industry, and also the references where those who have borrowed are kept. These activities are helping the banks to be able to reduce the rate. But with the exception or the coming in of the new taxes, banks will struggle to reduce the margin.
Now, Information Minister Kojo Ponkuma has highlighted the key role the media and strong marketing communication play in the country's quest to fully achieve economic growth. Whilst recognizing the media needs support to survive the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, he's tasked the media to deliver the right information that would make the country attractive to investors. He was speaking at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting in Accra.
The media employs output of economic organizations, governments, companies, etc. in their coverage. How we report the aims, the strategies, the evaluation, the outcomes, they can fuel or they can distort the picture of and for the general public. And in return, it can become the new stimulus of how the economic actors, the general public, and even governments further act in this recovery cycle. For any set of interventions to be successful, it has been observed, it must gain the goodwill and the support of the people. And the key value drivers such as business and citizens will only support these recovery policies if they understand it, and understand it especially through credible media. This means policymakers must adopt broad-based, proactive, robust, nuanced, and repetitive marketing communication strategies to get everybody on board these recovery programs. But it also means that media must reflect these realities to the people and complement these efforts by helping the effort to rebuild genuinely, highlighting the shared responsibilities in rebuilding and the common benefits when we successfully rebuild.
Well, editor of Graphic Business, Theophilus Yate, earlier spoke about how COVID-19 has changed the media landscape.
COVID has also kind of opened people's eyes, the industry's eyes. So now they see which media house or which media is more or medium is more effective in getting the message, getting the results that they are looking for. Because look, everything was scripted. Everything was stripped to the bare. So now you can tell that, look, these people we thought we could do with them. But post-COVID, we realized that, during the COVID, we realized that really we didn't need them. So now let's do away with them. Or, okay, now we realize that when you use this platform, it gets you the results that you need. So now this is where our focus will be. We'll spend more, we'll direct more of our advertising spend here rather than there. So it has become a reality check.
And there's more coming up from the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank Breakfast meeting on the marketplace at the top of the hour. Sports is up next.
Hello, welcome to the sports segment with me, Oreku. Before we start off with our stories, where Black Stars coach C.K. Akono says there's no one more interested in winning the Africa Cup of Nations more than him. The former Asante Kotoko and Hartlefield coach claims he appreciates the desire of the government to win the next edition of the tournament, a move many say will put pressure on himself and his team, but he insists he is the first person who wants to end the country's trophy drought.
Okay, so let me make it clear. If there's any other person that wants to win, I'm the first person. I want to win, okay? If that pressurizes me, you cannot talk about the national job without any pressure. First of all, as a player, I have played under pressure. Now a coach, I've coached under pressure. I don't let the pressure overwhelm me. I don't allow that. It's been part of me. I don't let it take control over me. So the other day I read, are you under pressure to, I don't let it, there's pressure in this job. All of you, all of us, there's pressure in it. But like I said, I don't let it overwhelm me. And so I take in charge, I take control over it. And I do my job. I do what I have to do. I'm more focused. I want to do this. I want to make sure this happens. Because I know when it happens, my name will come up. You understand me?
Still on the Black Stars and his quest to end a near 40-year drought of not winning the Africa Cup of Nations, president of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, Kwabena Yeboah, wants Samoa Gyan included in the team for next year's tournament. He says Gyan's experience will come in handy.
Let me say that whether Gyan is able to shed off weight and make the team as a player, I personally feel as a nation, we should make him part of Team Ghana. Even if he doesn't make it as one of the players, I think as an inspirer of the team, as part of Team Ghana, we should see him out there. He has a way of inspiring these players who take a lot of encouragement and inspiration from him. So let me conclude by saying that whether he is able to convince the coach to be part of the 23-man squad that is going to play or not, the Ghana Football Association should consider strongly how we make him part of Team Ghana. In 2010, for instance, if you remember, our captain and the best captain I've seen in this country, Stephen Appiah, for 2 years hadn't touched the ball. But some of us made a strong argument that we wanted him to be part of Team Ghana in South Africa. not necessarily as a player, but even if he was not fit enough to be part of the playing staff, it would be important and instructive, almost imperative to make him part of Team Ghana. And fortunately, he recovered on time. The officials accepted that perspective and made him part of Team Ghana. At the end of the day, he even saw a few minutes on the field of play. So I think I will extend the same argument to Asamoah, that if he's not going to be part of the playing staff, I think it will be important to make him part of Team Ghana for the role he's played with his country and the extent to which he can inspire the players on that stage.
Well, Asamoah currently plies his trade with Legon Cities, and last season he managed just 4 substitute appearances, which amasses to less than 100 minutes of football action, and he scored no goals at all. So certainly it's left a lot of people with divided opinion as to whether Ghana's all-time top scorer should be somewhere included in the squad for next year's Africa Cup of Nations. But before we go, just an update on the Paralympic Games, which has officially kicked off in Tokyo, and you can see the lead story on my Joy Online Sports. That is the Tokyo Paralympics, and that's a chance for you to meet Ghana's 3 para-athletes who will be aiming to make history. Remember, Ghana has never won any medal in the Paralympic Games since our debut in 2004, and we'll be having 3 para-athletes this time round. That is Emmanuel Ni Tete Oku. He's the flag bearer. He was the flag bearer for Ghana at the opening ceremony, which is currently still ongoing. And then we would have Yusuf Adamu, who is also a high jumper as well. And the final athlete who would be going, or who is in Tokyo with the team, is Frederick Aso. And the team has arrived, and the opening ceremony is currently ongoing in Japan. And we'll be getting you updates of that later on Sports Today as well. That's how we wrap up the sports here. My name is Oreko Ampofo.
That's it for Joy News today. This is how we draw the curtains. Do go to myjoyonline.com for more of the stories that we have there. One of those trending alleged $5 million bribe. I did not peddle falsehood against Chief Justice Kwesi Afrifa tells High Court. You can also check out We've Lost Hope in Police's commitment to justice for Kaka. That's according to his family. We know they've been meeting with the Chief Imam today, and petition seeking removal of Chief Justice unwarranted and unmeritorious, Akufu says. So you can check out further details on myjoyonline.com. My name is Benjamin Akakbo. Thank you for your company.